right, Abby's Yo Gossip this week is dedicated to Memorial Day, which is going to be this coming Monday, and how it originated.
Here's your parental warning for some mild adult content that I'll allude to, but nothing crazy. Because I've always felt like the vibe of Memorial Day never quite matched up with what the day actually stands for. On Memorial Day, you might log on to TikTok and you might see your feed flooded with soldiers dancing shirtless on pontoon boats. You might even be at a family barbecue and get in a fight over some undercooked hot dogs. Or you might even be at a brewery seeing plenty of civilians proudly thanking service members for their service, sometimes with more than just words. You might be tempted to roll your eyes, clutch your pearls, and ask, is this really how we honor the fallen? But here's the thing. Wild, messy Memorial Day weekends aren't some Gen Z glitch in the matrix. They're not even modern. In fact, they are historical. For over a century, Memorial Day has, of course, been a time for mourning, but it's also been, weirdly, the backdrop of decades of coping with the horrors of war with hot GI summer.
Hot GI summer.
Let's set the stage. It's the 1940s. World War II is grinding towards a brutal end. The Nazis are getting their butts handed to them. Eagles are screeching. Rosie the Riveter is flexing. The Statue of Liberty is shaking her fist in righteous fury. And in the middle of it all is a guy named General George S. Patton, the military commander with the soul of a poet and the bedside manner of a chainsaw. Patton was not known for his gentleness. This was a man who once slapped a shell-shocked soldier in a field hospital, yelling that fear was un-American. But he was also the man that wept at funerals, played classic piano, and scribbled heartfelt poetry into leather-bound notebooks.
So he was an onion.
He was an onion. He had layers, as all humans are. We're different. We're emotional. We're messy. And Patton didn't just command soldiers. He embodied the madness of war. And most importantly for our story, he understood what war did to people. In a 1944 diary entry, he once wrote, "The closer a man is to death, the more he desires the things that remind him he is still alive. Food, drink, and women." I don't know if he actually talks like that.
I wasn't thinking he did.
He's basically the spiritual ancestor of your cousin doing body shots off a Marine this weekend. So when World War II finally ended in 1945, America didn't just breathe a sigh of relief. It erupted. And no one partied harder than the soldiers who came home. By Memorial Day 1946, the streets weren't just packed, they were steamy. A Los Angeles headline once read, "Veterans flood beaches. Police report too much passion, not enough parking." Translation, people were hooking up in cars, on beaches, behind lifeguard towers, anywhere with a flat surface and a little shade.
They earned it.
Bars across the country ran these things called victory specials that were so strong, bartenders literally ran out of whiskey. They caused a shortage of alcohol and clean hotel linens in the same night. There was one sailor in Miami who had such an unforgettable one-night stand. He was recorded walking straight into a tattoo shop where he got Memorial Babe 1946 etched on his bicep. He never saw her again, and he didn't need to. And with stories like that, honestly, the baby boom starts to make a lot more sense.
That it does.
Now, flash forward to the 1970s. Vietnam veterans are coming home. Not to parades,
no,
but to protests and confusion. Memorial Day for many of them became the only time they felt semi-welcome. So what did they do? They threw ragers. One vet described Memorial Day 1972 as, and I quote, "an unofficial reunion where everyone's playing emotional dodgeball, dodging PTSD, drinking like their life depended on it, and hooking up like they'd just been drafted into Studio 54.
I mean, it was the 70s.
It was the 70s, baby. Time magazine even ran a little piece called Honor and Escape, documenting how Vietnam vets spent Memorial Day trying to drown out the memory with music, whiskey, and fleeting human connection.
Once again, they earned it.
They earned it. One sailor later joked that on Memorial Day 1972, his motto was, "What happens at the barbecue stays in my nightmares and my tattoos." So, what's the point here? It's that celebrating the fallen and honoring those who have fought for us looks different for everyone. Human emotion is complex. Memorial Day may be draped in red, white, and blue, but it's also soaked in sweat, tequila, and blurry 3 a.m. texts that say, "You up?" Because sometimes being human means being messy. Veterans like General Patton understood that. he didn't endorse debauchery because he knew this. Sometimes the most radical act of healing isn't solemn silence, it's dancing on a dock. It's kissing a stranger under fireworks and screaming, "I'm alive!" into the humid night air. As long as wars and battles are being fought, veterans are still coming home from deployments, from crises, from invisible wars waged in their own minds. And while we absolutely should honor their sacrifices with ceremonies, salutes, and silence, we should understand that joy, wild and perfect, untamed joy, can be a part of the healing too. So this Memorial Day, when you see thirst traps, the flings, the beach bar hookups, don't judge. Just remember what General Patton wrote in 1944. The closer a man is to death, the more he desires life. So let him have it. Red Solo cups, tattoos, fireworks, and all.
I hope anybody listening, everybody listening doesn't have PTSD.
Yeah, maybe I should have picked tamer fireworks.
That came in hot. It's one of those things where it doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be yes and. You can remember our fallen, as that is like, the whole reason behind Memorial Day. And you can also have yourself a good time. So
absolutely.
If you can do both, I think you've had a well-deserved Memorial Day.
Honor the fallen and make sure you cook your hot dogs all the way through.
The Bert Show.